I like hearing the story back because you realize how either that sounds ridiculous or wow, I wrote that. So it's kind of a confidence booster too after a while.
Right.
That's a good line. Like I made that. Okay, cool. Like I don't remember half of the stuff I write after I've written it.
NL Publishing Service Academy proudly presents Listen Up, I Got a Story to Tell podcast with literary success consultant DK Walker, sharing with you writing tips, marketing ideas, publishing information, and inspiring interviews for your author journey. So, without further ado, let's get right into it with DK Walker.
I'm DK Walker. This is Listen Up, I Got a Story to Tell podcast. Today I am joined by author T.L. Combs. Welcome to the room. Please introduce yourself.
Thank you. I am author T.L. Combs. I am just really happy to be here and excited to get into it.
Oh, to say the least. Well, thank you for joining us, our listeners that's listening on audio and the people that's watching us on YouTube. I had a major, yes, mishap or communications breakdown, whatever case may be. I just could not get it going. Like my guest today is so nice, so humble to join me because he's would have done this 35 to 40 minutes ago, but I could not get my ish together on my end. It is what it is. Please forgive me, but we're going to get into it. So you have how many books under your belt so far?
I have one officially out and one coming up in July.
Okay. So walk me through the process of what you learned from the first one as you venture into your second one.
The process is completely shambles. So, like, I have
Okay.
not learned a thing. I can't remember any of the things that I've done. It's like all nerves again, going into it again. When I opened it to upload all the stuff, I'm like, what did I do again? It's just feels like a whole brand new process all over again. I never claimed to be an expert on anything. However, I did. So I say I've written 2 books, but in actuality, I've written 4 so far. I had 2 other books back in 2009 that I published, like self-published. And when I say self-published, I just wrote them and just got them myself. And then that was it. Nobody else saw them. So hoping to re-edit those and put those out next year, but that's a whole other thing.
So, my question to you, what made you feel that, and correct me if I'm wrong, what made you feel though that those books wasn't worth being seen by the public?
I think it was inexperience, really, of just, it was a healing process for me because I was going through a really tumultuous situation in my
Okay.
relationship at the time. So I think it was more of a just to get my creative emotions out. And it wasn't necessarily to
For the public.
like share with the public. It was just, hey, I have this story in my head and I want to get it out, and just felt really good kind of being immersed in that rather than the situation I was in.
I got you. Well,
So,
people know that writing is the best form of therapy because you
mhm.
remove those emotions from your mental state and you put them down on paper, i.e., laptop, i.e., computer. And once you do that, you get to see it for what it is, and you've actually divorced yourself from those emotions, which is a great thing. I
Right.
think a lot of authors that's listening to the podcast need to understand if you have a situation, you're going through something, write about it. Even whether you choose to publish it or not, just write about it, and you'll get to actually look at it for what it is, see where you may have played a part in the undoing, whatever it may be, where you did play, and then where that other person or persons or whatever situation may be, how that turned out. I think writing for me, because I had my issues. My first book was called The Ugly Side of Sex. I was dealing with porn addiction, sexual addiction, the whole nine. And I wanted to get off that roller coaster. And so I decided to write
Right.
about it. And once I did, I thought that got off my back. So for authors that's an earshot of this, whatever you're going through, telling that fictitious story is great. But if you're going through something on a personal level, write about it. Write about it, even if it doesn't see the light of day, to say the least. So let's go.
Completely agree.
Yeah, to say the least. So let's fast forward up to where you currently at now in your publishing works, whereas the first 2 books were for personal reasons, and now you're confident enough to put these out for public consumption. Did you
Hmm.
feel when you hit that publish button and my shit is live?
Learn how to write faster, conquer writer's block, and tell a story your readers will love. In less than 1 month, writing only 3 pages daily, you can go from book idea to manuscript using the unfair writing advantage. Most authors take 8 months on average to write just one book. But in a fraction of that time, you will learn how to craft a book your readers will love and not be hunched over your laptop days on end to do so. Just go to www.theunfairwritingadvantage.com to see what has the self-publishing industry buzzing. Now back to the podcast.
Oh, my stomach was falling through my entire body. It's just the thought of it now still makes me feel ill. What have I done? Yeah, exactly. I can't stop this. I actually did this. It just all started from a girlfriend of mine who I met on TikTok actually. And I told her this dream that I had, and she's like, you need to write that down. And it just from there, and it just this crazy roller coaster ride, and figured out how everybody was doing everything because I had no idea what I was doing because I've never done this side of it to seriously publish. I was pretty much just Googling every little detail and getting on Book Talk and seeing what everybody else is doing, asking a lot of questions. And that's how I spiraled into, after I published my first book, how I spiraled into doing TikToks for baby authors, because I basically am just spewing out information that I wanted to know when I was starting out.
Okay.
So that's how that just rolled off. It wasn't anything I thought about or processed. It was just, I want to help out other people because I was in the dark most of the time, had no idea what I was doing.
So with that being said, what did you find, or what did you still find to be the hardest part of self-publishing?
The self-motivating, making sure that you do what you need to do when you need to do it, and just and it's exposing yourself a little bit.
Okay.
Actually, a lot of it. These are the weird thoughts that go through your head that you've put down on paper, and now you're sharing with other people. It's this maladaptive daydreaming on steroids, essentially. And it's just intense, just to people are talking to you about these characters that have been in your brain, and it's just weird. It's overwhelming sometimes. And my parents are super supportive to the point of nauseum. And we were with a church group, and my mom was like, hey, Tia wrote a book, she did. And then she just went off about it. And I'm just sitting there, shut up.
I am too through with you. Let your mom fangirl out over her daughter. Let your mom don't do that. Don't. She proud of her baby, okay? Let her get it. Come on now. Don't deny her shine.
Look, she does what she does, and I let her do it. It's funny. She is the biggest cheerleader in the whole wide world. So I am appreciative of everything that she does, for real.
You gotta, and I'm pretty sure you're good. You're good. But you gotta, and I'm pretty sure that you do. But I'll state the obvious anyway. Being an author, whether you publish, supposedly whether you're with a publishing company or you're being self-published and whatnot, it can be hard because it's just you. And when you have somebody to believe in you, although they may not understand exactly what it is that you do, but they're still with their palms out, you got to really, they got to be part of your inner circle. Because what we do is so daunting. It's a lone wolf type of thing that what we do. Because what you said earlier is that it felt strange and weird to actually pull the voices out of your head, put them on paper, and have people talk to you about those voices. And sometimes, being honest, at least for me, I barely understand where that came from in the first place. And now somebody's asking me to explain what I barely understand in the first place. I don't know what I thought came from, but what I did, I put something else with it, and that sounded interesting. I put something else with it, that sounded interesting, and then here we go. A lot of authors will complicate the process. I'm all for simplicity. Like when you write, think about it. When most authors, I take that back. Everybody learns to write a book, and I said this in previous podcasts, in elementary, because a book is nothing more than an elongated paragraph. You have an opening, middle, and an ending. That's all a book is. It gets complicated when you start to add in those thoughts, those emotions, and then you have to deal with, will people understand what I'm trying to convey to them? That's where that fear comes in there. So with you going into your second book, if you haven't conquered that fear, at least you have a good handle on that. What would be some of the advice that you would give to authors coming up behind you that's still dealing with that?
Just keep going. I know that sounds like cliche.
That's true though.
but it's to literally just keep moving and don't get caught up, especially on your second book. Don't get caught up in the edits of it, because that's where I faltered and I had to step away from a little bit for a little bit. I even
Mhm.
went into a reading slump at that point because I was editing the books I was reading. I was like, man, why they had to put that word in? That doesn't even make any sense. Ooh, so I wasn't even enjoying books anymore because I was in editing mode and I just could not stop myself.
Okay.
And so I had to step away and just do movies for a while because I was like, I can't do this right now. Because I was reading like, I don't know, 50 to 100 books a year. So I was going, now I'm down to like maybe 15. Like I'm only at 5 right now. So this is slow for me.
So that begs me to ask, how do you read so much and what you're reading doesn't bleed over into your own work?
I don't know. I get inspired by what I read, but at the same time, I'm not necessarily reading the genre that I write in.
Yeah.
I like fantasy. I love reading fantasy, and that's what I've written. I write fantasy romance or romantasy. However, I read mostly romance and like fiction, romance, that kind of stuff, but not necessarily fantasy all the time.
Okay.
And then I like sci-fi romance. I like that kind of stuff, but I don't write that. So it kind of, I like separate, and I love historical romance to read. And I said, I didn't choose to step into this genre. It wasn't like I'm actively trying to do this. Like I said, these are the voices that were in my head, and I decided to write it down. And that's pretty much how it works for me. I have no method. I am a planster. So I will plot out, generally speaking, here are my characters, this is what they look like. This is a summary of the story. And then I just go from there.
Okay.
I don't plan out chapters. Like I have a couple of really good author friends that I don't know. Do you know JB Wiggins? She
I'm not.
wrote this. She's amazing, but she wrote The Summoning at the Edge. My goodness. That girl, she's brilliant, by the way. She's like really smart. Like I feel dumb when she starts talking. She like plans out literally everything to the last detail. Like her book is like this thick of her outlining stuff, not just the book, just her
Hmm.
outlining stuff. So she's really a planner when it comes to her writing. And I just can't live that life because they talk to me. I they're like,
And,
no, I'm not gonna do that. I want to do it this way. And I was like, we weren't going to go in that direction, but all right. So I just wing it and just hope for the best. And it's nice to get that mental break because I'm usually in control. I'm usually take care of things. I plan things in my life to a
okay.
T. I'm very organized. I do things the way they should be done. I'm 10 minutes early to everything because like my dad would always say, if you're on time, you're late. So
Facts.
I was always, that's just me. So when it comes to writing, it's turning my brain off in a weird way, or that side of my brain, and
Okay.
turning on the more creative side and just letting that kind of take over. So it's relaxing to me because my mom asked me, she's like, why do you do this? I'm like, because it helps calm down all of this that goes on in my head. And it's
And with most creatives, it is a lot. When you're creative at heart, like it's kind of hard to really shut that down. You had mentioned something earlier that you were editing your book and you had fell into some type of funk. Do you edit your books or do you actually just go over them and send them out to be edited, then bring them back and you go back and forth?
I have an editor, and but I heavily edit before I give it to her.
Okay.
I try to get most of everything. So generally speaking, like grammar and stuff like that, I don't worry about. That's not a big deal to me because she's going to handle that. And like punctuation, it's not that big of a deal for me. But
Gotcha.
when it comes to the storyline itself, I have the same friend, best friend, who told me to write the story. She is also a writer, and she will be publishing her first book this year. And she and I go back and forth with our books and we read every chapter out loud to each other to
Okay.
see what it sounds like to each other, to somebody else. Oh, wait, that sentence sounds wrong, like when you say it out loud. And so that kind of stuff. We even do accents. It's like a whole thing. And we take weeks to do it. And this is what happens before I send it to my editor for the first time,
Mm.
just to make sure developmentally it sounds good. Am I missing something here? Should I move this whole paragraph up here instead of down here? So that's how we maneuver before we send it to our editor. And after that, then our editors, oh yeah, this is great. So she's able to go through it pretty quickly for her
Okay.
first go through, and then just send it back. Hey, fix this stuff. This doesn't make any sense here, blah, blah, blah. But it's pretty minor at that point because we've both gone through it so many times. That's just how been our method over these past couple of year and a half over this time. But I like it. I like hearing the story back because you realize how either that sounds ridiculous or wow, I wrote that. So it's kind of a confidence booster too after a while.
Right.
That's a good line. Like I made that. Okay, cool. Like I don't remember half of the stuff I write after I've written it. So it's funny when people will come up, you remember in this part and then I'm like, I don't actually, sorry.
That's interesting that you would say that. In your questionnaire that I had you fill out before you came on the show, you said that the one thing that you hated about the whole self-publishing writing process is marketing.
Yeah.
Why is that? And it's okay, you're in a safe space, so you can delve deep as you want to tell us why. Like most authors, you're not by yourself, by the way, that we all hate marketing.
Writing your manuscript has been hard enough, so let NL Publishing Service Academy make self-publishing your book easy as possible. From beautifully designed full and ebook covers to uniquely done typesetting and formatting, our goal is to professionally enhance your manuscripts and book covers to give your readers the best reading experience possible. Need marketing tips, tactics, and strategies? We can help you with that. How about branding and broadening the reach of your author platform? Yep, we can help you with that too. So no matter what your self-publishing needs are, NL Publishing Service Academy has you covered. Just head over to www.nlpublishingservices.com for whatever your self-publishing needs are. And now back to the podcast.
Okay, I guess I should rephrase that because I learned that marketing and sales are two different things. So I don't mind the marketing because apparently marketing is the personal getting personal relationships, learning out about people, hey, what they're interested in, and molding things to that. Like I'm good at personality wise. I'm great at that. I can talk all day long.
Okay.
Now, when it comes to sales, oh, you need to buy my book. Like that part. I'm just like, if you want to, you can. You don't have to buy my book. Like it's not really important. Like not that serious. So I'm not good at asking people for money for something I've made. Even though that's what I do now. So I'm terrible at the sales part of the marketing. Right. I'll talk to you. I'll create a personal relationship. I'll make it happen. Oh yeah, I'll help you out. But the moment you say, and you're like, oh, I'm going to help you out. Oh no, you don't. No, you need help. I'm fine.
Okay. So
yeah.
let me, if you don't mind, a little bit of unsolicited advice. Maybe it would help you to remove you personally out of the sales process. If there was a way that you could automate that, right? It's safe to say you're highly intelligent. You understand how marketing goes. So if you took you personally out of that equation, then you would have a hang up with selling. So if you were to place your books on some type of automated system to be sold, then you wouldn't have that hang up. So
yeah, that is perfectly acceptable advice.
Yeah, not a problem. But I'll continue. So with that being said, do you have anything in place like that? Whereas you're just telling people to go to your link in your bio?
Yeah. Oh yeah, of course. I have that like basic, like just that set up. I have PR boxes on my website. I have signed copies on my website. And I always tell people go there. But like when it comes to face-to-face situations or it's just if you want to. It's kind of like I start shutting down when it comes to the book sale of it. I'll talk about my book all day long. I'll tell you like the characters, how much I love them. They're amazing to me. They're real to me. And the relationships they have with each other, with just all of that. But great, where do I buy your book? Oh, you want to buy it? It's just like like I didn't. Yeah, so it's getting better.
Okay.
Now that I've been in it for a little bit and putting myself out there, and because before I was like I didn't even want to do book signings or anything like that because I was just like, oh, I didn't want to be around that. So I'm trying to do that more and put myself out there and actually engage with the people to buy my book, not just tell them about it.
Not a problem. Are you familiar with Pinterest?
With Pinterest? Yeah. Oh yeah. I'm on Pinterest.
Pinterest. Okay. TikTok is fastly becoming an SEO, right? I don't look at TikTok as being a true SEO. Some people will disagree with that. It's all right. We can split hairs later.
Right.
But With Pinterest, Pinterest is geared and designed for people to leave their platform. Any other platform wants you to remain there. They want people to stay. That's when people go down the TikTok rabbit hole, the IG rabbit hole, and for those very old people, even the Facebook rabbit hole. They don't want you to leave their platform. But with Pinterest, Pinterest wants you to click on their pins and go wherever that link takes you to. Another thing, if you're not doing it already, is to actually look at putting your books on Pinterest. And that removes, you just need an interesting pin. They click, and as long as where they're going to, that the destination is interesting, it converts them, then you made a book sale. So that's something
Yeah.
that you definitely might want to look into as well. Yeah, I'm definitely heavy over into Pinterest and whatnot. I love it. I have people running that, just 3 pins a day, and I'll take the pins that's really converting, and I'll just make more of those. That's it, and that's all.
Gotcha.
Yeah, it's nothing has to do with me in the process. I might show my face. I may have a line or two that I've said on the podcast. That's it. And
Right.
it's once again, it's an automated system. You have something else going on. And we spoke about it earlier off camera. I want to make sure that I get the name correct. Baby Author Spotlight. Right.
Yeah.
Now, with you being such a newbie and a well knowledgeable newbie in the game, how did Baby Author Spotlight come about?
I was seeing a lot of indie author spotlight situations, but they were like well-known indie authors, people who are like bigger names and are always at all of those conventions and stuff like that, which is great. I have nothing against that. But I wasn't seeing a lot of the up and coming. I have one book out, but I'm not well known, that kind of
Mm-hmm.
stuff. Like I wasn't seeing people push those. Oh, I only got 5 reviews on Goodreads. That's still a high review, but no one's talking about it because it's only 5 reviews. So I wanted to showcase people like me essentially, because I like I said, I'm doing for them what I wish someone would have done for me.
Mm,
Uh, so
totally
that's what I'm
understand.
doing. And that's what I want to make sure that I just want to shout out people who don't necessarily get the shout outs that they deserve, and highlight some awesome authors and awesome books. That my TBR is ridiculous right now. You wouldn't believe. It's so long now, but it's great because I'm getting to meet all these new authors, and I'm essentially booked until the end of August debut with all these cool highlights and spotlights for these baby authors, and it's really great. I'm really excited for them.
You need to be excited for yourself because people know, and I'm not sure, and you can tell me none of my business, but I'll ask anyway. I don't know if you're in that for actually monetary gain, but when you build a community, money comes with that community just by default. When you help others,
Yeah.
money comes, the more you help, more money comes with that, right? So, like, you need to tip your
Yeah.
own hat with that. I'm not sure how you're monetizing that, or if you're monetizing that, or if you're going to monetize that. You should.
I had not thought about monetizing it, but I guess I mean it. Like I said, it came from a genuine spot of I want to help other people out. It didn't come from, and I can maybe get some. That never really even crossed my mind for that particular segment of what I do on TikTok. Yeah, I wouldn't be mad at it, but at the same time,
Right. So,
it's definitely to highlight the baby authors out there.
me, and I'm assuming from your story earlier, I was YouTube University. I was course this. I was actually my wife. She came home. She was like, "I see you at the computer every day and whatnot. What is it you're writing?" So I was writing a book. She said, "What do you plan on doing with it?" I'm gonna self-publish. Now, I'm not sure she dealt with it in her past. She's like, "I've never met a man that wanted to self-publish a book. This is not heard of." I'm like, "Yeah, well, I'm one of those men. Not a problem. I'm a nerd at heart." So she was working at
Yeah.
a community college at the time, and she brought me a course from work. I logged in, got online, knocked out the course, and it taught me all the ins and outs. So, like you, I am self-taught, and I
Right.
understand the need to reach back to authors that feel intimidated by the process. But what
Right.
but what happens is your most valuable asset is your time. And the more
Right.
that you help others, you got to realize, okay, so if I'm helping somebody else, I'm taking away from something, i.e. family, i.e. myself, i.e. my own writing. So it has
Right.
to be eventually worth my time. Now, I'm not saying go out and charge crazy prices, right? But what I am saying and whatnot, once that gets up and running, and because it sounds like it's growing at a rapid pace, as it gets really big, you're going to have to make a choice. Whereas I'm going to be a full-time author or consistently write my own books, or I'm going to assist with others. And then you're going to
Right.
have two good problems on your hand. So I'm just giving you something to think about in the process.
Of course. Yeah, it's like I said, this is like me dipping the toes and seeing where I want to maneuver in this industry. And it's like I said, we'll see how everything unfolds as it unfolds because it's happening live right now.
Well, that's what's up. When you first started to write, did you see yourself where you at currently right now? Did you envision
No,
this?
no, not at all. That's what's so funny. And I don't see myself, oh, wow, I'm amazing. No, I'm not. I did not see myself. I did not envision any of this. I just was writing down the story that was in my head. Like it is literally as simple as that. There is no end goal. You always have like fantastical. I wish like my husband can come home and after I sell however many copies, like he'll be able to come home from work and not have to go back. So that would be great. You don't really think that's going to happen.
Hmm.
And so like you hope and wish and pray and that maybe one day it will. But yeah,
But it can.
yeah,
It can,
yeah,
right? And
yeah, yeah,
and the reason that I say it can and whatnot, right? Bit of quick math. If you have a million readers in your genre, it's highly at where you're at right now, you haven't even reached like 1 millionth of those million readers. So
right,
a book shelf life is much longer than people make it out to be. So with that being said, keep writing. And what happens then once you start to go deeper into your genre to find your readers, they'll start to buy all of your books. It's not an
right,
overnight process thing or whatnot. And so once you understand that, and once you understand it and have systems in place, then that's when the money start rolling in. But what happens is a lot of authors don't understand. I need a system in place. I need a system
right.
in place where I'm at least writing 3 to 4 books a year. And I know it sounds crazy. It doesn't have to be full-length books, novels, right? Because people like think
Right,
about it. The reason that people binge their favorite episodes on streaming platforms is because they have all these episodes to watch, whereas authors
right.
struggle to write 1 book a year. If you just turned up the production, you increase the chance of selling more books and you have more books to be sold.
Exactly. And that was why it was really important to me to get the second book because I wrote one and two consecutively. Like they just flowed right out. Three is like a quarter of the way done. And so I wanted to make sure that I got book two out pretty quickly after book one. And then book three is coming out early next year. Hopefully, it'll seal up the entire series. We'll see where my brain goes. I'm not sure. So,
You gotta that sounds like you got a lot of wins. You gotta celebrate those wins. That's what keeps you
yeah,
going. Like you have to
for
celebrate. I don't know
sure.
how you celebrate. I don't know if it's like with me, I have a sweet tooth out of this doggone world. I need to stop. God help me. Anytime I get a small win, that's my excuse to give me a milkshake. Like I go to a place called
Right,
Mrs. Boo's. I'm going to get me a doggone chocolate and peanut butter milkshake. Don't judge me. I'm in a
right.
safe space, right? It is what it is,
No judgment. No
to
judgment
say
whatsoever.
the least. Before I let you get out of here, first question is, where do you see yourself as an author and really running Baby Author Spotlight? Where do you see yourself 3 years from now?
3 years from now, I see myself having, of course, all three books out. Hopefully, another series that I've actually started to write out, which is like a kind of an adjacent realm of the realm that I talk about. Actually, I don't even think I said the name of my book. It's called The Houses of Glass at Night.
Thank you. Look at you with the plug. There you go. You supposed to. Girl, I love me some you. That's
That's
right.
the hardcover. And then the second book that's actually going to come out next month, 23rd of July, is Hearts of Ice and Glass.
That's
And it's actually a
beautiful.
prequel. This is the paperbacks. The paperbacks look alike. That's the first book. And this is the second. And then
Mm,
I don't have the hardcover proof just yet. It's actually supposed to be here today, but it they have the similar look to this, all the
okay.
hardcovers. But yeah, so I hope to have all three of these done, possibly in a box set, and at least one or two of the second series out, because that's going to be a 3 to 4 book series at this point. And then I don't know, maybe we'll get Baby Author Spotlight on a bigger platform and make that grow a little bit bigger and turn it into something a little bit more substantial and get people their eyes on these baby authors so they have a fighting chance in this rapidly saturated
Yeah.
industry.
Cream
So
rises to the top.
yeah,
Cream
so
rises to the
that's
top.
yeah.
say the least. Yeah, just do me a favor, remove that word maybe. No, you're going to, if that's your intention, right? Being
Right.
intent being intentional is a beautiful thing.
Right.
That's how you
Right.
got your book, you're going to your second book because you're intentional about your writing. So
Right.
notice about anything that we're intentional about, it happens. It's not about
Mm.
happenstance. So be intentional in everything that you're talking about here now. In 3 years, you will achieve those things, I believe, quicker in 3 years as long as you realize that I'm intentional about these things.
Right.
My last question to you before I let you go is, what advice would you give any author right now that wants to be discovered for their uniqueness? Because I think that you're unique in what you do, to actually be new in the game and still reaching back to help people. That says that
Mm.
you're a selfless person, and that speaks volumes about your character. Because a lot of people get a little bit of success, and it's all about me. You got your
Right.
success, and okay, I know how I struggle. I want to help. So once
Right.
again, go celebrate that win. So whatever that is for you. If not, I'm gonna go to Miss Moves for you, and I'm gonna have that milkshake. Don't even worry about it. I'm gonna celebrate the win for you.
You go right ahead. You do that. Enjoy it for me too, because I'm trying to come back. Oh, I would tell, just don't lose who you are in this situation. And I mean that on so many different levels. It's I've seen people just crumble under the pressure of checking their KDP like reports every single day and checking their reviews on Goodreads every single day and Amazon. And then they just let the weight of that smash them down and they're barely a day into it. So I would just suggest, make sure you take those moments back for yourself and don't let this whole thing overwhelm you, because you still put out an amazing book. You wrote that.
That's
You
right.
put words onto paper and made that happen. Revel in that, enjoy that moment for yourself. And so what if someone didn't like it? It means it wasn't for them. Move on,
That's
move
great
on.
advice.
I got a 2-star review a weekend and I have no idea why they didn't like it. Like it was just, and I literally just laughed about it because it's like, it wasn't for them. I'm glad they read it though. Thank you.
Right.
So keep it moving. Don't let it tear you down, because that does not define you. So
Mm,
just stay true to who you are and keep it moving and do
got
what
you.
you love and do what you
Got
love.
you. I couldn't have said it better myself. Where can readers find you at to purchase your books?
They can find me on my website. It
Which
is
is,
author tlcombs.com. So author TLCOMBS
got you. Are
dot
you on
com.
Amazon? Are you or
I
no?
am on Amazon. I'm on Amazon. My first book is on Amazon and barnesandnoble.com, and it's on Kindle and KU. My second book will be on Amazon, barnesandnoble.com, and just Kindle, not KU.
Not a
So
problem. So that by you saying that, that means you're going wide out of the gate.
with my ebook, yeah.
So that's more
Yeah.
beneficial to you to go wide instead of being
Yeah, so my first book is wide. The hardback is wide. Everything else is just on Amazon. But the hardback is wide for my first book. So I have it in a couple of libraries. I'm not even sure what libraries. They just ordered them and they didn't give an address. So I don't know. They're in a library somewhere in America, which is great. And then the second book, the hardback as well, will be wide.
well,
Yeah.
I got to definitely have you back on because there's so much that I didn't get a chance to actually, pardon me, do a deep dive on. You have a wealth of knowledge and information that I'm going to pick your brain, not only for my listeners, but also for myself because I'm stingy that way. Real talk though, right? Because I want to get into the difference of going wide, being able to find your books all over instead of just
Right.
being exclusive with Kindle, things of that
Yeah.
nature. A lot of authors don't understand the pros and cons of that.
Right.
Right.
It's tough.
So I'll be in your inbox soon, and we'll say
Okay.
if that's cool with you to set something else up
Yeah,
to
for
continue this
sure.
because I definitely tackled that and a couple other questions that I didn't have time to get to today. But with that being said, where can people find you across social media at? What are your handles?
I am on TikTok, Instagram, and Facebook, and on those scary ones too, Lemon 8 and Clapper. But my handles are author underscore TL dot Combs. So
Cool.
on
That's
all of
definitely
them.
That y'all make sure y'all go check her out. All her information will be in my show notes. So the places where you can go buy her books will be in my show notes. If you want to follow her on social media, that will also be in my show notes. I am DK Walker. This is Listen Up. I got a story to tell podcast. If you're watching this on YouTube, like, subscribe, and share. And leave me a review on Apple Podcasts. Do that for your boy, please. Peace.
This episode of Listen Up, I Got a Story to Tell podcast has ended. But please be sure to subscribe for more literary strategies and tactics to help you create the profitable, successful author career you've always wanted. And don't forget to rate and leave a review so we can continue to bring you the best author and book-related content. See you on the next episode.